title card, baby. Let's go. All right. Yeah. So, first things first. The bottom center of the screen says that we've beaten 33 games this year and 480 since we started doing this in 2020. Those numbers are now obsolete. We've now beaten 34 games in 2024 and 481 since we started doing this in 2020. Let's go. All right, so let's talk about open roads. I got the death counter there. We made it. Deathless run. Kerry Russell, yeah, okay, cool. I don't know who Caitlin Deaver is. So this is an indie narrative adventure that is mostly walking sim. The only reason I hesitate to call it full on walking sim is because there's a lot of just back and forth dialogue, like a what are those games that they enter in a narrative something novel? What do they call them? Well, it's got that. I'm just blanking on what that's called. Those video game novel games. It's part that, and the rest of it is walking sim. So those aren't my two favorite genres, right? I think most standard gamers are going to be pretty bored with this game because there's no combat, there's no RPG elements, there's no boss fights, there's no inventory management, there's none of that stuff. It's a walking sim and a narrative adventure. Even seems like a strong term. It's just a day in the lives of these two women, really. So there's no supernatural element, or it's just some two ladies hanging out for a day. So does that mean that the game is bad? No. Actually, I would say that for what this game is, I think it tells an effective story. It's just not something I would go to the movie theater for, right? And I think that's probably how I would frame this if somebody that was into indie games asked me, hey, should I play Open Roads? It's on Game Pass. I would say, well, would you be interested in a movie? Let's say it got nominated for some Oscars. Would you be interested in a movie that was about two women on a road trip, and that's all the movie is? Does that sound like something that would be, and it's about like a mother's relationship with her daughter and her own mother and them understanding, their past together. Like, would you be interested in watching that movie? And there are some people that would say yes, because that's the kind of movies they like. And if that was you, I would say then you should play this video game because you'll probably like it. But honestly, most gamers are not going to say yes. Most gamers are going to say no. There's not even the fucking dragon. So no, there's no dragons in this game. Spoiler, there's no dragons. So when I think about where it's well voiced, it's well written, and the animation style is interesting. It reminds me a lot of a book I read. I was saying this earlier. It reminds me of a book I read in college called Franny and Zooey by J.D. Salinger. Almost the entire book happens in a single room with two people in a bathroom just talking. That's what the whole book is, and it's about family, and it's about strained relationships and things like that. And it's a very well written book, but it's not an exciting book, right? And that's what this is. It's well written, it's well voiced, it's well animated. It tells a story that I admittedly was interested in, to a point, especially toward the end. It has an interesting twist at the end that I actually didn't see coming. But it's not like the end of like 10 Cloverfield Lane or anything. Like there's nothing crazy happens. It's just about this woman and her daughter, or this young woman and her mom, depending on how you want to frame it. So, when I think about where I'm going to rank a game like this, there is a graveyard of games like this toward the bottom of my rankings, because I play a surprisingly high number of games like these because they're easy, they're fast, I don't get stuck on them. If they're on Game Pass, so I don't have to, a lot of them, so I don't have to pay for them. And I think, I've got 3 hours to kill today before a new game comes out tomorrow. This game just came out. Let's play Open Roads. And so those games, most of them, end up getting buried in the bottom of my rankings. Not in the very bottom, because the very bottom of the games I hate, but around the 400 mark. There's a lot of games that, like, Dear Esther. Actually, I thought Dear Esther was particularly bad, but A Memoir Blue. This game reminds me a lot of A Memoir Blue. At least that game had puzzles in it, though. Before I Forget, I'm just looking at my list here. Dear Esther, Before I Forget, Along the Edge, A Memoir Blue, I said. Before I Forget, I said. It's a lot of like, Beyond Eyes. It's a lot of narrative games that have a lot of walking and a lot of reading. And that's, again, it's not bad. It's just, it's not gonna take you to the places that you're used to video games taking you. There have been a couple games like this that I have been really impressed by, but the ones that I do get really impressed by are ones that have a crazy enough story, or they subvert my expectations in one way or another. A great example is Tacoma, which I played recently. That's basically a walking sim, but it takes place on a spaceship, so there's a sci-fi element to it. It's not a supernatural element, but it's like a sci-fi element. And there's some crazy shit that goes down that you find out about via audio logs and reading. So again, it's not edge of your seat stuff, but the story was crazy enough that I really found it to be compelling, and they found a really interesting way to tell that story in a non-conventional sense. So this game didn't really do that for me. It's a lot more straightforward. It really is like you're eavesdropping on a mother-daughter car ride. That's what this game really is. And so if that sounds interesting to you, then you should play it. If it doesn't, whatever. I mean, the game only took 2.5 hours to beat, so not even 2.5. So it's a fairly short game. It's okay. It's all right. It's fine. If you've got a couple hours to kill and you don't want to watch a movie and you're into like more like dramatic kind of stuff like this, then yeah, play it. Otherwise, don't bother. All right, that's it for Open Roads. We did it. Last order of business. Open Roads, it's been fun. Hey, it was worth the money. I didn't pay a dime for it because it's on Game Pass. But we are now going to delete you from our console and never play you again. Bye. Thanks for being available to us. Appreciate you.